Hey there everyone, so we are in the middle of December, just pulling out of Great Falls. Gonna go fish the tailwaters of the Marias today. Oh my goodness, talk about bouncy little road here in Great Falls. Anyway, we're gonna go fish the tailwaters of the Marias River today, which is north of Great Falls, about an hour and 15 minutes. Fished there once, must have been 2 summers ago. I've been focusing on the river and the boat the last couple of years, trying to get these videos up and going. And we did great. Caught a bunch of walleye and actually caught a blue sucker, which is the first blue sucker we ever caught. And we were only there for about a half hour, 45 minutes. Caught a whole bunch of fish. So we are going to head up there today. It's in, like I said, middle of December. It's a little too warm to ice fish safely without driving a few hours. But a little too cold to take the boat out comfortably. And the wind's blowing about 30 miles an hour today. So yeah, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough to go fishing, especially in a boat. We got the new boat, actually, just picked it up last weekend, had our first ice fishing, picked up a little perch, nice perch, keeper perch, but didn't keep it, we just caught one, we were only there for about a half hour. But we got the new boat sitting out back, and got a new truck, new boat, a 1-year used motor that we bought new last year. That's what we're going to be running next year, is that tracker, so stick around for those videos to come when we get out on the lake a little bit. But today, yeah, we'll pick back up, and I'll see you once we get up to the tailwaters. So good news, we, like I said, a lot of little prairie reservoirs are frozen up around here still. I even saw a horse standing on one. I would be scared if I was that horse. With temperatures in the 50s all week, and the ice was only about 4 inches thick before that. I don't think I'd want to be walking out on ice, but it's a horse. Well, I could definitely tell Tiber must have some open water, because there are birds everywhere. Either that or it's the Marias. The Marias, we went through the river valley down here before we get to the tailwaters. As you can see, we're rolling down the gravel road towards those tailwaters right now. The Marias is completely open with almost no ice on it. There's a lot of geese sitting in the water, but probably can't see it on the camera because they're way off in the distance. But there's, I don't know, probably a couple hundred geese flying up and in the air and around the fields. And that tells me that there's either open water on Tiber, which I know they like to sit on from fishing in the past, or there's open water down there on the river. That wind is still whipping, and I'm still, not exactly 100% confident that the water is going to be, all that water is going to be open below the dam. But, it depends on how much is flowing. I know there'll be some open water because that dam's open year-round. So there's no way that can totally freeze. But hopefully the stuff that we want to fish is open too, because it's constantly flowing. So even if it was iced up with these warm temperatures this past week, maybe it broke up. So we'll see. Yeah, just heading down the gravel road here. They got those geese all up in the skies. And let's see. Yeah, maybe we'll get lucky and have completely open water there below the dam. Well, here we are coming up to the tailwaters. Good news so far, there's not much frozen that's near the river, which is good. Looks like some of the back bays are frozen, but most of the stuff that isn't a back bay looks pretty open, which is awesome. Oh, a couple good fishing holes here just off to the left. Look pretty shallow right now, but assume the water's down this time of year. Well, it looks like we got someone up here fishing already. Well, I don't know if they're fishing, but there's a truck up here nonetheless. Here's another one good hole right here. A lot of water, actually. Surprising amount of water down here. Looks like some of the lower stuff is a little low, but the stuff up or closer to the dam appears to be pretty good right now. Yeah, everything's open, so let's get some fishing done. Woo! So if you can see, there's actually a couple pretty good spots to fish here below the dam. There's the main spillway, but the actual main water from the dam rolls down right over here. That's cement bunker. But there's also a tube that shoots out from the other dam right there. So you got the spillway to the left, just to the right of that, you can kind of see that pump house. That's one of the main pump spots, and then over here is the overfill. They've got the big drain. They call them a glory hole, I believe. And if the lake gets too high, it kind of just floods down. Anyway, here's this backwater where we've had success in the past. There's a couple fellows fishing here right now. We might give this a try a little bit later. What we're going to do is down here lower in the river, there's an island. Just below that, there's a couple wing walls that are there to prevent erosion, made out of a bunch of rocks. We're going to go cast in behind those and see if we can pick up some fish down behind those. It's pretty rocky, so we'll probably throw some cranks or some jigs, maybe a floating jig down on the bottom. basically, we'll see how that goes. Okay guys, so we're here below, down by these wing walls, the wing dams. See, they kind of provide a break off of the rapids there, which is ideal. Fish will sit here on these breaks. First thing we're going to do, we're going to end up casting. Casting probably, and you know, when we cast, we're going to leave the swivel on, maybe even put on a leader. Because there's pike and walleye here, they tend to bite off smaller lures with just line. But we're going to leave a swivel on for sure for quick changing. A lot of guys don't like to have the swivel on when they're casting. And that's perfectly fine. I do it all the time, depending on, you know, if I'm fishing for trout or something that doesn't have quite as much, you know, quite as many teeth. Or if I don't know what they'll be biting on, it's a lot faster to switch with the swivel than it is to cut the line and then retie the line. You know, it's not, you know, crazy fast, but a lot faster in the grand scheme of things. But here we have my number one river weight, or river lure here, and this is what we do over by the main dam if we're looking for fish there in slow water. What we got here, just, you know, any general pole works. A light pole works. Right here I'm using my bottom bouncer pole, one of my bottom bouncer poles for the summer, so it's a little bit heavier of a pole. What we got here, big heavy pole, a weight. If you're in soft water, you don't need quite as heavy a weight, because the fish actually, once they take your lure, they'll feel that weight. But the weight here, I tie it to the line with a swivel, and then with another swivel, I tie off this. Now I used to use just in line, I would tie the weight in line, but that caused quite a few breaks, more than I'd like. I lost quite a few fish. And then at the end, either a plain hook or a floating jig head. Now I'm going to be rolling with a floating gumdrop jig today. And to start, I'm going to throw a crawler on, like a real night crawler, not a synthetic one. I like to use synthetic ones when I cast, because the real ones tend to rip off, depending on where you're at. But basically with this, you're just going to grab a half of a regular night crawler. So whether that's ripping it, or you know, you can rip or you can cut, just half of a regular night crawler. Me, I just tend to pinch them off. They're easy enough to pinch in half. Then go on the end you pinched off, so don't go on the whole end, go on the half end, and just run it through the hook until you run out of line. And when you're doing this, make sure there isn't a curl on the hook like this, because that doesn't allow the crawler tail to swim free, which is what attracts the fish. You want to make sure it's something like this, where they get in the water, that tail will swim free. And then basically from here, what you're going to do is find a soft spot out of the current, ideally, because your weight won't sit on the bottom usually. I like to use, you know, about 3/8 weights, half-ounce weights. Anything heavier, a small fish will take it and feel it, and you won't actually catch that fish because they'll feel the weight and spit your lure. So find a place in the current here. Now I'm going to be casting on this side of the river. The other side of the river, it's a little bit tougher to get a lure over there and actually sit it in there because of the current. If you cast over there, the current catches the line and pulls your lure back into the current, and then you actually don't really get a fish that side. So what we're going to do here is cast into that soft side of the river. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but there's this wing wall we're going to cast, you know, just with a regular jig or a crankbait or a spinner or whatever. We'll switch. And then on the other side is where I'm going to cast this lure. So this worm and this crawler and this floating jig head actually sits in the soft spot on the other side, and hopefully the whatever's over there will take a bite out of it. And basically what I'm going to do is find a good rock to stick it in. Then I'm going to set a bell on the end. Basically the rock will hold your pole here, so if it gets bit, the pole will stay in the ground, and you'll hear the end of your pole start dinging, 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 and then you can come over. So at the time here, having some problems finding my cast masters. Look at me being a good boy and putting away all my lures where they're supposed to go. I know I had two of them. Oh, you know where they're at? Son of a gun. They're nice. They're my ice fishing kit at home. Well, that's a significant loss, because those are some kick-ass lures. So it looks like we're going with a classic spoon here for a little bit of casting. Now you can tip those with a minnow if you want to. I'm just going to cast with the spoon right now. Just like any other lure, throw it out there, let it sink as far as you want, and reel her back. I'll try a crankbait after this, probably. Only downside with the crankbaits, you can't cast them far at all, but they do dive, which is nice, whereas the spoon does not dive. Now, a good thing to do with these spoons is what a spoon does is it kind of flutters as you reel. That's the whole just the way the spoon's built. So a good tactic, oh, look at his bald eagle, cool. A good tactic with a spoon is to reel. Well, and ideally don't get snagged, which I just did, but basically reel. And as you're reeling, kind of quit maybe once every 5 cranks, let it sink a little bit, and then pull it towards you. Sometimes that little sink, if there's a pike or something behind it, causes those fish to just go nuts. So that little bit of sink where it slows down, it kind of flutters down almost like that. You're reeling, it flutters down, you pull it, slow, it kind of pulls back up, and you start reeling again. Right there, when that pop, basically either when it drops or when you start pulling it is when they'll hit it. When you get it back, especially in a pike heavy area, which I don't really call this a pike heavy area, but I know they're here. You get it back towards you, and kind of pull it around, maybe do a figure 8 once you get it back to where you're standing, or if you're in a boat or something like that. Because a lot of those fish will hit just like that too. So I'm gonna go get the beetle spin. Exactly what I said I wanted to cast earlier, just with the perch colored head, perch colored body, and the spinning silver beetle spin blade. Got that nice rainbow you just saw. I'm going to keep fishing here, see if we have any more luck. As I said, the bell's off to our backside, so if we hear the bell, I'm going to grab the camera, we're going to run over there and try to set a hook. It's sitting in the mouth of it right now. So although we were off camera there for a second, nice rainbow. See this big rainbow? We hit the beetle spin. Hit that beetle spin combo, just throwing it in the calm water down here. Got a big bite on a rainbow trout. I've had in a while. So just throwing a floating Rapala. So we got ourselves probably right around a 30-inch pike here. Probably upper mid-20s. But a nice pike. Gonna give it to these fellas. Let them have. Yeah, I got something on there, I think. Yeah. Now let's see if I can get that bell off. Yeah.
No freaking clue. No, it ain't a walleye. No, it's a big freaking blue sucker, that's what it is. Big blue sucker. Biggest one I've ever caught. Last spring, I caught probably a dozen of them that were big ones. Yeah.
Drop that size?
Like bigger. Really? This is a small little carp. These are. I think this is a sucker, but I think this is a blue sucker. Yeah, we caught a bunch of big suckers and like a small little carp down here. I'm not gonna do this. I like to ice this for lane. Oh yeah, slice them up. Yeah, lane will be good. You go for poultry quite a bit? Nah, in the winter, usually we got it February, right about there. You get them all back in. But otherwise, you know where Point Over is? Yeah. Newland Reservoir? Yep, Newland and then Sutherland. It's pretty awesome. Pretty decent hike to go to the best too. How you inhaled that one? No.
You come down here in the spring, get these suckers big, huh?
Yeah, they're in that little elbow off right there. They're sitting there just bellying all day long. It's crazy. We thought like little them and the buffalo carp there fucking. You can see like the red on the fins and stuff first thing in the morning. It's pretty cool.
See, got us a blue sucker here. We're going to actually keep this fish, slice him up for ling fishing later this year. Hey guys, so that was the end of the trip to the Marias Tailwaters. Had a pretty decent day for a middle of December. Like I said, it was chilly, wind was blowing pretty hard. Picked up that big pike, a nice rainbow, and that really nice blue sucker. We're gonna end up using that one for ling bait later on. Normally don't keep fish, unless I'm using them for meat or, in this case, bait, because sucker bait, is great for ling. We're planning on hitting some of those in Poulter come January or February. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned a little bit about that river fishing. You'll probably hear a lot of that stuff in a bunch of my other river videos, but regardless, that's the general theme, is that's how we should fish the rivers, and hope you guys enjoyed yourselves.